Hello. I guess we are live, Nishant.
Yes, we are live. हाँ हाँ तू live है.
Okay. Uh, let me see if we can share the screen. Uh, ah, I don't know, man. It's not showing up here. Ki, is there a way to present the screen?
एक चीज का
हाँ,
कि
बोल.
मैं कुछ बोलता हूँ और मैं देखता हूँ कि वो आएगा कि नहीं. एक चीज का
There's echo somehow. Okay, हाँ, we can do that.
अबे हाँ मैं जो बोल रहा हूँ वो आ तो रहा है definitely because मैं लाइव स्ट्रीम ऐसे देख रहा हूँ and then I can see कि हाँ like मेरा वॉइस आ रहा है.
Okay, that.
तो good enough.
I
Like
guess.
peace.
So
हाँ तो
should we continue this?
we can go with we can go with your facial expression for our whole thing.
Yeah, but I wanted to present like both of us. It's kind of odd because, you know, or is there any other alternative?
इसको हम लोग figure out कर लेंगे. देखते हैं कैसे होता है.
Okay. Do you think it makes sense for me to be like visible online? We can just blank it, right? Like I'll put a tape or something. It's just blank. So that they just hear it as a podcast. It's actually a podcast.
अबे एक मिनट में यहाँ पे अपना माइक ऑफ कर रहा हूँ और मैं बस उधर जाके देख रहा हूँ कि नरेश का कमेंट आया कि लुकिंग वाइज.
Okay.
With all this funded type.
No. This is Italian mafia. This is not. This is not Pandit. But cool. Yeah, I think let's do that. Let me just turn off the video and then we just do it podcast wise so that I can actually see you because it's more important for connect with each other rather than me staring at a blank screen. I would say.
Okay, like let's just start. Like. Okay. So guys, we will be discussing Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits is basically a book by James Clear, which came recently. Not sure of the time, but it came recently. And we'll just basically self and shit is some questions on like what this book is about, why we chose this book, and what are the main ideas in this book, and that we'll be discussing in this whole 45 minutes thing.
Yeah, and like, I guess the plan is to keep it like 45 minutes, just to have it bound by time, not overdone, right?
हाँ चितिज, तो why did you choose this book? अच्छा एक मिनट एक और वेट करना, मैं अपना रिकॉर्डर ऑन कर लेता हूँ so that we have some at least voice का quality सही रहेगा फिर.
Yeah, definitely, that's a good idea. I think I don't know YouTube export का क्या quality रहता है audio का, but yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, Satish. So why did you choose this book?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. So I picked up this book in 2016 or 2018, actually, just when it had come out. I was interested in learning about habits as such, what goes into habit forming and what's the thing that sustains habits, because what I thought was कि जब job start होगा, like after college, it would be mostly कि दिन भर you have a schedule and you'll have to build hobbies and stuff around that, because your primary drive for the day would be work for 8 to 9 hours a day, and the remaining hours you'll have to build something. So I thought कि habits would be a good way, and I picked up The Power of Habit. That was the first book that I picked up. I thought कि ठीक है, इसमें कुछ है, and then I picked up Atomic Habits because a lot of people on internet were saying कि this has got a lot of practical advice to it. And recently I reread it for the third time in the month of January. So yeah, it's been good. And what about you? What made you pick up this book?
Okay, so for me it was basically a huge अवेलेबिलिटी बायस बायस एज इन कि मेरे आसपास काफी लोग पढ़ रहे हैं उसको एंड आई रियलाइज कि काफी लोग पढ़ रहे हैं सो देयर इज दिस एवरीवेयर आई सी कि हाँ ठीक है लाइक कहीं कहीं मेरे को जेम्स क्लियर का एटॉमिक हैबिट्स दिखने लगेगा एंड देन मैं जेम्स क्लियर का ट्विटर अकाउंट मेरे को दिखा एंड उस ट्विटर अकाउंट में मेरे को बहुत अच्छा वाइब आया कि अबे like he creates something and he wants the world to create something ठीक है और ये वाला वाइब वाज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर मी कि अच्छा हाँ ठीक है लाइक लेट्स गिव इट अ शॉट एंड सी लाइक हाउ दिस गोस लाइक कि जो सेल्फ हेल्प बुक वाला टाइप का चीज है तो मेरे को किसी ने कहा था कि द पावर ऑफ योर सबकॉन्शियस माइंड पढ़ना and I kind of I didn't get that book ठीक है मतलब I know people are getting influenced by it उनके लिए बहुत मस्त होता है but just not for me और इसलिए मेरा लाइक सेल्फ हेल्प बुक की तरफ थोड़ा सा पहले से बायस होता था कि ज्यादा मचाओ नहीं हो तो बस ऐसे करते हैं कि हाँ तुम करो और हो जाएगा इट्स वेरी ग्रेट कि हाँ भाई तुम करो और हो जाएगा ये सबको मालूम है तो हाँ उसके बाद से मैं एकेडमिक हैबिट्स पढ़ा और क्वाइट प्रैक्टिकल और इसमें कुछ कुछ पैटर्न मैचिंग चीज दे रहते हैं कि वो बुक पढ़ लोगे तो उसके बाद से लगा कि हाँ ये पैटर्न यहाँ पे मैच हो जा रहा है मेरे रियल लाइफ में और एट दैट पॉइंट इट्स लाइक कि हाँ वो बुक कुछ तो हेल्प कर रही है
Okay, and you found it very practical as well, right?
हाँ
That's nice. Cool. That brings us to the next question. Like, who do you think like should read this book?
So, of course, like this book is for someone who wants to be little productive, but like productive as in ki same amount of time everything has. But you want to see कि हाँ लेके मैं peacefully ज़्यादा अच्छे से कैसे कर सकता हूँ. So मतलब of course like there is this thing जो एक आदमी होता है कि हाँ मैं बहुत कुछ कर रहा हूँ. मेरे को वो आदमी प्रोडक्टिव उतना अच्छा नहीं लगता. मेरे को लगता है एक आदमी है कि हाँ पीसफुली वो कर रहा है और उससे हो जा रहा है और ये कैसे हो रहा है लाइक that's the kind of people अगर तुमको ऐसा लगता है कि हाँ वैसी चीज को तुम डिसाइफर करना चाहते हो कि हाँ वर्ल्ड में कैसे हो रहा है डेफिनेटली पढ़ना चाहिए.
Yeah, I would say the same. मतलब yeah, go ahead.
हाँ और फिर मुझे लगता है कि ये एनवायरमेंट वाला थी वॉन्डर अबाउट इट कि एक रूम है और इस रूम में बहुत सारा लाइट है और तुम ऑटोमेटिकली लाइक सुबह उठते हो तुमको थोड़ा खुशी खुशी सा फील होता है. बिल्कुल लाइट नहीं है पूरा लाइक ऐसा विंडो लग रखा है कि कुछ उसके अंदर लाइट नहीं आता है उसमें सनशाइन नहीं आ रहा है इट्स नॉट एयरी ऑटोमेटिकली मेक्स यू लाइक ग्लूमी एंड एक्चुअली दिस तो क्या होता है कि जब नॉर्दर्न हेमिस्फीयर में काफी दिन तक सनशाइन नहीं होता है तो लोगों को बोला जाता है कि यू सिट बिसाइड लाइक येलो लैम्प्स so that you do not turn into gloomy person.
Okay, interesting.
तो kind of like मुझे लगता है कि जेनेटिक चीज है मतलब हम लोग का सनशाइन लाइट एयर ये सब चीज हम लोग का मूड अपलिफ्ट होने वाला चीज तो ये क्यों हो जाता है एनवायरमेंट हम लोग को कैसे इम्पैक्ट कर देता है इवन तो लाइक मैं ग्लूमी नहीं बनना चाहता हूँ लेकिन मैं बन जा रहा हूँ इवन तो मैं लाइक खुश नहीं होना चाहता लेकिन मैं हो जा रहा हूँ तो वो सब चीज अगर किसी को फिगर आउट करना है तो आई थिंक दैट बुक इज लाइक दिस बुक डेफिनेटली सम.
Interesting. Yeah. I agree. Matlab, there are a lot of I would say meta things to this book that are not necessarily related to habit formation, which I found really interesting. So one of them was about environment, which we'll talk about more in depth later. But yeah, there are a lot of meta things that I learned from this book. And I think वो सारी चीजें अगर किसको देखनी हो then it's a good resource because the language is very simple and you can easily it's an easy read and you can learn a lot of different stuff about how processes works, how systems work, and how you can build a system in general. So that was interesting. Yeah. And anyone who's interested in any of that, then yeah, I think they should give it a try. It's not that big of a book, so yeah, should give it a try. That brings us to let's start with the actual ideas that were in the book. and we'll go in depth. And to start off with, let's start with the environment point that you talked about.
Okay. So basically, like we, मैं थोड़ा सा और context दे सकता हूँ like listeners को कि will be, and the first idea is basically कि your actions depend upon your motivation and environment. ठीक है. तो बचपन से like इंडिया में तो definitely कहा जाता है कि अबे तुमको पढ़ना है, तुम पर डिपेंड करता है कि तुमको पढ़ाई करना है, तुमको ये करना है, तुमको वो करना है. एंड एवरी लाइक बचपन से ये कंडीशन हो रखा है कि हाँ सब कुछ तुम पर डिपेंड कर रहा है. लाइक इफ यू डू इट देन ओनली, लाइक बस तुम पर डिपेंड कर रहा है, पर नहीं रिलेटेड टू योर एनवायरमेंट ऑल्सो. और वो एनवायरमेंट वाला चीज इज मतलब इम्प्लिसिटली मेरे अंदर डेफिनेटली नहीं था. मैं उसको डेफिनेटली मैं देख रहा हूँ कि हाँ मेरे आसपास हो रहा है. जैसे कि अपन खड़गपुर चल गए एंड खड़गपुर में आई सी कि हाँ लाइक प्रोफेसर्स आर मे बी नॉट दैट अप टू मार्क जो मुझे लगे कि अबे क्या पढ़ा दिया. देयर आर पीपल जिनके साथ मैं बैठता हूँ, मेरे को लगता है कि हाँ यार ये भी कर लेते हैं, फिर ये भी कर लेते हैं और ये भी कर लेते हैं. एंड बेसिकली वो एनवायरमेंट जो था दैट वाज काइंड ऑफ क्रिएटिंग दिस गुड थिंग. तो वही तो बेसिकली मैं कह रहा हूँ कि motivation part is something like definitely it matters, but there is this environment part also which is implicit, which is hidden. You never know it. It's not in your control, like it's not in your direct control, but it matters a lot. And so इस पे कुछ पढ़ते वक्त like I definitely see that there are few other concepts which connect to it. So there is this 5 chipmunks theory, which like I came to know from Naval in one of the podcasts.
Yeah.
So basically says कि एक 5 chipmunk theory है कि एक रिसर्च हुआ, उसमें हुआ कि जो एक पर्टिकुलर चिंप है उसका बिहेवियर ही they are able to predict using the behavior of the closest 5 chimps की. तो मतलब डेफिनेटली इसके लाइक अगर इसको थोड़ा मोड़ा जाएगा तो काफी इससे खराब मामला भी बना सकते हैं लोग ये लोग. पर ये बेसिकली ये कर रहा है कि काइंड ऑफ योर एनवायरनमेंट would have a lot of share in your like what you become. क्या लगता है तुझे?
I think I totally agree. And the interesting thing about environment, like the immediate environment that we have, is that it's something that we have in our control in a way. We have a say in it, but we don't pay attention to it. What I noticed was कि जब मैं college KGP, right, and I noticed कि people are not so they don't share a lot of similar things that I value. For example, one would be कि I'm more like organized person, तो मैं अपनी थोड़ी चीजें organize करके रखना चाहता हूँ. But you know, in KGP, people are, my students are like कि भाई इधर पढ़ा है उधर पढ़ा है. They're a bit careless and reckless. But yeah, that's something that I didn't pay attention to earlier. But now I think that, you know, minor things like that, they shape the actions that you're going to take. Like you said, it's somehow linked to motivation. कि you build on top of things, so stack होके जाता है. And if you have things in place, if your environment is like attuned to making you successful in a way, for example, I remember we were talking about 2 weeks ago, and you said that how you started running, you used to prep your shoes, your stuff the night before near your bed, that you'd have that you know, that motivation in the morning कि भाई निकाल दिया है तो अब कर ही लेते हैं. So, and I tried that, and it actually works because I started running then. So that's something that I didn't pay. I had the shoes, I had my bed, but I didn't, you know, arrange things in that way. So that's how I think those are like little, I don't know, nudges or whatever you call. But yeah, it's very helpful that way. And yeah, I think that's something that I didn't think about before reading this book, but I picked up after reading it. So yeah.
अबे ये जो तेरा रनिंग वाला एग्जांपल है, उसी तरह से ऐसा एग्जांपल इसमें आता है कि एक सिंगर है सौम्यदीप, तो होता है कि उसको जब भी प्रोक्रेस्टिनेटिंग ऐसे लाइक फील हो रहा है, तो अपने जिम ट्रेनर को कॉल करके बोल देता है कि अभी तू आ जा। ओके अब तो वो आ ही जाएगा, तो जिम करना ही पड़ेगा, राइट?
Yeah, if you have that much money, तो तब तो chill है. ट्रेनर कभी भी आएगा. Throwing money is the problem, but not chill.
अबे in India it's fairly easy for, so मतलब कि वेस्टर्न कंट्री और ईस्टर्न कंट्री में मतलब कि इंडिया और लाइक मोस्टली वेस्टर्न कंट्री में क्या रहेगा ना कि इन वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज जैसे कि यू विल गेट द मैक फॉर around 80,000 rupees in ठीक है, but the same Mac if you want to buy in India you will be buying it for like 1,30,000 or something, right? ठीक है, so you pay up for products, but for services in India it's way cheaper. You can have your private cook, you can have your private shopper, you can have your private like everything private you can have. In Western world is kind of luxury. So ये like but we are deviating from atomic habits. So let's get back to environment. So we just talked about one example, the running shoes wala. So okay, environment wala चीज एक और चीज था. So there is this mimetic theory by Rene Girard, which David Perel has written a lot in his one essay about Peter Thiel. Okay. Peter Thiel about mimetic theory a lot. So mimetic theory is basically कि एक simple example में ऐसा जाएगा कि बचपन में किसको नहीं मालूम है कि लाइक इसको क्या बनना है, और फिर दो लोग ऐसे चल रहे हैं, एक बंदा ऊपर देखेगा कि अरे वो देखो कि वो इंडियन एयरफोर्स का पायलट जा रहा है ऊपर से, ऐसे जा रहा है, और वो दूसरे बंदे को सेक्सी लग जाएगा कि अरे यार लाइक मेरे पास वाला बंदा क्या मस्त चीज ऐसे बोल रहा है, ठीक है, तो इसको हो जाएगा कि नहीं यार मैं भी अब पायलट ही बनूंगा. तो he doesn't know कि लाइक वो बाद में जब कहेगा कि हाँ मेरे को पायलट बनना है, ये मेरा लाइक ड्रीम है कि मैं पायलट बनूंगा, और ये मेरा ही ड्रीम है, मिमिक करके भी ला रहे हैं. Wow. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's deep. I don't know. That's a good. खड़गपुर में काफी लोग जीसॉक करते हैं. There is already a mafia around जीसॉक in खड़गपुर. नहीं माफिया कुछ ज्यादा हार्ड वर्ड होता है. Who want to be good programmers. Who see कि like which people are actually good programmers in third year, fourth year, and like seniors of them, and they see कि okay what things they have done. Of course, like maybe they are in some kind of group, maybe they are in some kind of places, and all this like automatically like implicitly comes in them कि अच्छा हाँ मैं भी शायद वो करूँगा. And it's kind of an example of mimetic theory I've seen in action.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think yeah there are definitely lot more factors to it, but yeah I think this mimetic theory and you know the ability, or I don't know, not the ability, the perception that you have to do the same, you have to take the same path as other people are taking or planning to take to reach the same end point. It's yeah, I think people do that, but I think kuch hoga. I don't know, kuch there has to be some genetic, psychological, evolutionary benefit to it. Tabhi aisa hota hoga. But that's a good point. I'll have to think about it more, to be honest. But yeah, thanks for introducing that. And with that, let's move on to the next key idea that was presented in this book. So for me, the next idea was the way that habits change. And the most effective way to change habits is to change your identity. So in this book, like in the starting few chapters, there's a lot of focus on the idea of identity. And by identity, I mean like personal identity of an individual, and not the group identity. So the thing is ki, James Clear says ki, for example, if you're a smoker and somebody offers you a smoke, right? And you decided कि मेरे को नहीं छुट्टा मारना है, but you can say कि हाँ भाई नहीं, I don't smoke and stuff like that. There, and what he suggests is that the stronger emotion is to say that I don't identify as a smoker. Just say that. And once you internalize that identity part कि मैं smoke नहीं करता हूँ because I'm not a smoker, then it becomes like easier to implement it, right? So that was quite interesting to me because what I noticed, like I said, right, I read this book 3 times. What I noticed was that whenever I try to build a habit, let's say I want to meditate every morning or I want to wake up early, the thing was that eventually you will fall back. And the reason that you fall back is not because कि तुम नहीं कर सकते हो या तुम्हें will power नहीं है या stuff like that. The thing was कि you don't identify as that person. You don't share the qualities of or the habits that I want to inculcate in a different way and relate them to my identity. Then it becomes easier for me to conform, which was like not very regular. But in 5th year, I started waking up very early, like morning 5, 6, and up till starting my job over here as well, I started waking up early because I have to work. But yeah, nonetheless, I like waking up early, and now I can say that yeah, it's something that's part of my identity. And
yeah, it's like finally I'm a morning person.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I would say that like because I don't know what a morning person is. I would just say that I enjoy waking up in the morning and doing some productive stuff before I start my day. What about you? What do you think about this idea?
Like for identity part, it is very very powerful thing. Suddenly like start identifying yourself as a morning person, and people around you are like now thinking, okay, now you are a morning person, or suddenly there is a shift in the way you see yourself. So मेरे को याद है कि अपना 3rd year या 4th year में एक कोई इकोनॉमिक्स का कोर्स था जिसमें बैलेंस शीट वगैरह सब कुछ था, एंड मैं पढ़ने के लिए तो पढ़ लिया उसको, बट आई नेवर रियलाइज किया उसमें क्या कुछ कैसे आएगा. और पढ़ने के लिए एक ऐसे पढ़ा, मुझे याद है राहुल मिश्रा के साथ पढ़ता था मैं, एक दूसरे को कॉन्सेप्ट समझा के वी हैड सम लाइक गुड ग्रेड्स लाइक ये ऐसे फिर ये दिखा था, बट आई थिंक कि मुझे कुछ नहीं आता था हाउ टू अप्लाई दैट इन रियल लाइफ. And I really wanted to manage my finances, how this investing thing works, and like, is there a way? So basically, like Dhaval saying, you can't get rich by just renting your time. You have to have some part of equity.
Yeah.
So if you want to have some part of equity, so you want to invest little, थोड़ा अच्छे तरीके से, ठीक है? चीज को पढ़ने के लिए like which तब जा रहा है, ठीक है? So this is something which was too foreign to me, और मेरे को काफी हार्ड लगता है स्टार्ट करना.
Okay.
But और फिर धीरे धीरे लाइक हम लोग के अंदर एक ऐसा हम लोग ग्रुप के अंदर आइडेंटिटी बनने लग गया कि हाँ लाइक, ठीक है? और फिर उस आइडेंटिटी वाले share the same kind of identity as me.
Okay.
It is way easier for me to learn these concepts. Or now I can see हाँ ठीक है, like the balance sheet देखता हूँ, so I can see a little more than just numbers. कैसे हाँ like company कैसे progress कर रही है. अगर मैं 3-4 साल का बैलेंस शीट देखूँ तो मैं हाँ इस साल इसका स्ट्रेटजी था कि वो इसी तरह हेवी इन्वेस्टमेंट करे, फिर और फिर कुछ glitches in balance sheet I can try to figure out yeah maybe this balance sheet automatically started to happen कि हम लोग नए चीज पढ़ने लगे.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I noticed, I think you read a book as well, right? On balance. Okay.
जैसे कि in Bible is it?
Yeah.
Once you read, you know a lot about मतलब कि वो काफी ज्यादा चीज पता रहता है.
So I guess you have made like investing a part of your identity. So it's like
I don't totally know what is a morning person, but I'm someone who enjoys waking up early. So I don't know who I am, but yeah, I like to invest in little steps of stuff.
Come on, it's not the same thing, dude. Investor is someone who just invests in sustain habits in the long run. So it's easier to do something for like a week, a month. But if you want to develop something for a longer period, you need to have some change internally within you. and that's where I think identity relates to that topic, you know, कि मेरे को, I mean, कुछ होता है life में, and then you change in a way, right? So that's where it affects your identity. And I think what James Clear talked about in this book was something similar. That if you want to have some life-changing habits, then you have to change some part of your identity in a way. So yeah, that was very very interesting to me, and I think about it a lot whenever I pick up or change anything. Yeah.
So before we end up this point, मैं एक और connection बारे में बात करने जा रहा था.
Okay.
Yeah, when it talks about identity, so it talks about कि so there is this code of a person which is identity. So identity comes process, and out of which comes outcomes. मैं सिगरेट नहीं मारूंगा, ठीक है? कि तू बस सिगरेट नहीं मार रहा है, but you still have तुम्हारे घर में बहुत सारे सिगरेट के ये पड़े हुए हैं, डब्बे पड़े हुए हैं. ऑटोमेटिकली कभी ना कभी ऐसा होगा कि कोई ना कोई गाना बजेगा जिसमें कोई ना कोई बंदा सिगरेट ऐसे मारते रहोगा, तू ऐसे जाके सिगरेट उठा लेगा और सिगरेट पी लेगा. So this is outcome based, very hard to sustain. And process based habit is कि अभी मैं स्मोकर नहीं हूँ, मेरे घर पे ही तेरे को एक भी सिगरेट का डब्बा ही नहीं मिलेगा. तो अब I started drinking as a non-smoker, तो मैं of course I'm not going to smoke. तो उसी तरह से in a book start with why. So Simon Sinek tells कि there is three circles of like human brain में भी वैसे ठीक तरीके से चलता है. Okay. So inside it is why, then it's how, and then it's what. Okay. So basically I see कि हाँ there is one-to-one relation kind of between these two. कि जैसे कि जैसे कि मेरे को इन्वेस्ट करना है, ठीक है? तो अगर मैं इस मतलब कि मैं अगर सोचूं कि हाँ लाइक व्हाई, हाउ और व्हाट पे, तो मेरा व्हाट इज बेसिकली इन्वेस्ट करना, ठीक है? बट व्हाई आई एम इन्वेस्टिंग, सो इट्स दैट नीड्स टू बी क्लियर, तभी मैं मुझे फोकस कर पाऊंगा. तो व्हाई आई वांट टू इन्वेस्ट, बिकॉज आई वांट टू मैनेज माय फाइनेंसेस वेरी क्लोजली, और मुझे लगता है कि अगर मैं अभी अच्छे से कर पाऊंगा, तो गिवन 2 years 3 years डाउन द लाइन आफ्टर वो कंपाउंड इंटरेस्ट के साथ मेरा भी फाइनेंस अच्छा हो जाएगा. तो मे बी एट 30 आई वोंट हैव टू लाइक मुझे सोचना नहीं पड़ेगा, मैं अब बैठ करके बीच ऑफ बैठा हूँ, आई वोंट हैव टू थिंक अबाउट माय फाइनेंस. तो मैं कह रहा हूँ कि वो बेसिकली आइडेंटिटी और वाई के बीच में मेरे को काफी ज्यादा ये लगा. If you have possibly you can switch between these circles and create an identity. And if you want to create an identity, you have to think about why you want to create that identity.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I think I watched Simon Sinek's TED Talk about this, like how leaders think or something like that, and he touched up on this idea. But I totally understand. And I think I was thinking about this actually, and what I thought was that the reason that this works is because as humans, right, as a person, as an individual, I don't want to self-contradict myself. कि अगर मैं बोल देता हूँ कि मैं दारू नहीं पीता हूँ, मैं I won't drink alcohol, तो वो मेरे लिए किसी सोशल कॉन्टेक्स्ट में करना डेफिनेटली मुश्किल होगा. या फिर मेरे को मीट नहीं खाना है, मेरे को वेजिटेरियन डाइट लेना है या वीगन डाइट लेना है, then if I say it publicly or I put it in a social context, तब it would be very difficult for me to self contradict. तो वही चीज है. For example, what I did was at my office I said कि I don't have sugar in my diet. तो मैं चीनी वैसे नहीं कंज्यूम करता हूँ किसी भी फॉर्म में. तो अब जैसे ऑफिस में किचन में there's a desk, there's a bowl or something जिसमें कैंडीज नहीं तो चॉकलेट्स नहीं तो कुछ हमेशा रहता है. And so even though I'm tempted, I never take it because I know कि कोई देखेगा, then what will he think of me? कि बोलता ये है करता कुछ और है. Stuff like that. So that's the external part, but also internally it won't be good for me because at the end of the day when I reflect, I think कि भाई आज क्या किया, आज मैंने वो खा दिया, मतलब even though I didn't want to and now I'm not feeling well. तो वो भी है. And yeah, I could be wrong, about it, but yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, and I think we spent a lot of time on this, and it's a good topic to think about as a separate thought process as well. But let's go to the next idea that we found. So another idea was the notion of compounding interest and compounding processes. So the TLDR of it was कि James Clear says कि just try to be 1% better each day for a year, and then if you become 1% worse each day, even though the number seems very small, at the end of the year, I don't know what you would be like 0.01% of what you are right now, and stuff like that. So the key idea for me over here, you're just focusing on कि मैं थोड़ा सा better होना चाहता हूँ आज, but in the long run, it compounds to a lot. Or the second point was कि the payoff that you get is very delayed in this. कि the payoff you get after 1 year, you won't get 2 times better in just a week. In order to get 2 times better, you'd have to spend at least 2 or 3 months, right? And then it expounds, and then you see the gain of the actual compounding process. So वो मेरे लिए काफी interesting था, and I try to do that with everything. Like for example, I'm learning music right now, so I bought a keyboard, and then I try to play each and every day, or at least 3 times a week. And the idea is that during every session, I just try to become 1% better. कि मेरे को एक कुछ नया topic सीखना है, and just scale it down to like 2-minute version. For example, if I learn like a new chord or new melody for a song, so I'll go with the basic. मेरे को आज सिर्फ right hand करना है, कल left hand करना है, परसों दोनों को combine करना है. So I just try to scale it down, and the focus is कि मैं बस थोड़ा better हो जाऊँ. And eventually, after 1 week, I would be able to play the song in like very low, irregular tempo. After practice of 1 month or so, I would be able to play the song in a decent tempo. So that's a growth for me. What do you think? Like, what do you think of this idea?
तो जब ये बोला ना कि 1% वर्स एच डी तो क्या हो जाएगा? तूने निकाल लिया. So it will be 0.025.
0.025. Which is quite nice.
मतलब कि you will be 98% worse than yourself, your current self in a year.
Wow. Okay.
So compounding is. So I'll go into like little bit history. History नहीं. क्यों? क्योंकि like अपने human दिमाग में it's very easy to calculate simple interest. So 1%. So वो वाला चीज people will say कि हाँ like today you grew just by 2%, but you grew by around 10% of the thing you started by. इसलिए तेरा हाथ का movement ज़्यादा
है. But I can understand. Okay, we'll let the audience imagine
this Goldilocks zone and law of diminishing returns.
Yeah, exactly. So there were 2 points to this idea of understand or accept intuitively. मतलब we both have mathematical background, and lot of people with technical background can understand कि हाँ भाई ठीक है, ये are totally different things to do, and it's very difficult to translate from one zone to another. कि मैं समझ लिया कि मेरे को ये करना है कि इससे एक्सपोनेंशियल ग्रोथ होगा अगर मैं डेली 1% बेटर होता हूँ, बट इट्स very difficult to when we are at the edge of our current abilities. तो basically वही फंडा है. मतलब I don't know, there are a lot of people, lot of great thinkers who talk about this in different ways, but the way that I think is कि I know कि मेरे को आज ये आता है या सिर्फ इंट्रो आता है. I have got clear idea कि मेरे को कल कोरस का लेफ्ट हैंड सीखना है. So that I knew कि मेरा करंट एबिलिटी क्या है. I know just the intro, उसके कॉर्ड्स पता है मुझे. I knew कि that is my current ability, and I knew कि मेरे को करना क्या है. And I was And when I planned it, I knew कि this would make me a bit better than what I am. हो सकता है कि उसमें कुछ एक ट्रांजिशन हो जो मैंने पहले प्रैक्टिस नहीं किया कि उसमें C octave है कहीं पे, which I have never tried. But I try to be somewhere in that range of Goldilocks zone. And अब हो सकता है उसको कुछ और नाम से भी जानते हो, but I just call it. So I was following chess a lot these past couple of months in lockdown, and I was watching Hikaru Nakamura's stream, GM Hikaru Nakamura's stream on Twitch. And within that, somebody asked him that question: how do you get 1% better each day? Which I found very interesting. And he said that at like the top level, when you are at the peak of your profession or something, then it's not that straightforward to get 1% better each day because you are at like 99.99%. And that's another place where non-linearity comes in. Because the thing that differentiates top performers is
whatever. He had some Y key, he want to use it. तो वो अपने लैपटॉप में से फेसबुक अकाउंट में से लॉग आउट कर सकता है.
Okay.
So every time he has to like open Facebook, he has to log in, and there is so it is now just it's non-obvious. Like you just can't go there and scroll it. Also, so there is like maybe Instagram uninstall कर रखा हूँ, Facebook install कर रखा हूँ, because so now it's more or for making it obvious, like हम लोग flatmates, we know कि हाँ like हम लोग को गेम करना है, and we had our own fun. So just made it obvious, we bought the whole game. So now it's कि अब तो खरीद ही लिया है और सामने रखा ही हुआ है, तो कर ही लेते हैं.
Yeah. And what make it attractive?
So making it ये book मैं पढ़ लिया. So even like ending it would have some kind of making it like you have some kind of like dopamine boost. Checklist like so even like checklist like for some people I think I definitely know they find this GitHub green thoughts every day for every day they have coded. They find it attractive.
Okay.
So it's basically an like a habit kind of like making it attractive. I find it for prompting programmers on all the test cases, it's like making that habit attractive.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think like for me, the thing was कि कोई एक habit को सिर्फ I try to find just one law that I could satisfy with that. So for example, I would say I decided that I wanted to drink a lot more of water in my day-to-day life. So what I thought was कि I need to make the issue was कि it was not very easy for me. I don't know why. I just thought कि अगर पानी का ग्लास भरा होता, then I would have taken water. But वो पानी का ग्लास भरा नहीं है, then I don't know. It's just something subconscious. So what I did was कि अब जब भी whenever I drink water, right, I always fill my glass with water after drinking it. Yeah, and I think it works for me at least. It has worked for me for like 6 months now. तो वही जैसे मेरे को कॉफी आई ड्रॉप कॉफी बिकॉज ऑफ इट क्योंकि मेरे को कोई जरूरत नहीं है आई जस्ट ड्रिंक वाटर जब भी मेरे को प्यास लगती है and stuff like that. So that worked. So I try to do something similar. So for example, like I said, for my keyboard, I just put it beside my workstation. तो कभी भी मेरे को थोड़ा बोर लगा साइड में कुछ एक मेलोडी प्ले कर लिया. Stuff like that. And for these ideas, right? The important thing that struck with me a lot was that all these laws, like the laws, were applicable when you invert them. You know, that's something that I always look for in anything. कि कोई मेरे को कोई चीज बोल रहा है, right? अगर मैं उसे invert करके apply कर सकूं, then I have greater confidence कि वो सही होगा. And I found this very interesting कि कोई भी law उठाओ, उसको invert करो, apply it to a bad habit or a habit that you want to stop, then it actually could work. For example, like you gave the example of Facebook, right? And social media. That's a way to invert key, make it non-obvious, make it difficult, and stuff like that. Do you have any other example for this? Or
हाँ तो जैसे कि लाइक एज एन हैबिट फॉर्मिंग तो मेक इट इजी के बारे में सोच रहा था. तो मेक इट इजी इज बेसिकली कि तू अपने हैबिट्स को इजी करना चाहता है या फिर अगर तू किसी से कुछ चाहता है कि कोई कुछ करे तो जस्ट मेक इट इजी फॉर देम. ठीक है, टू सर्च और पूरे पेज पे सिर्फ उसका यूएक्स भी तुझे कह रहा है कि अभी हाँ लाइक इट्स इजी फॉर यू टू सर्च. और तो जैसे जैसे कि मेरे को किसी को अब कोई ब्लॉग देना है, ठीक है, लाइक आई वांट टू टेल समथिंग कि ये एप्पल का M1 चिप आया है और इसमें लाइक अबे काफी कुछ मस्त चीज हो गया. लाइक इसका 12 घंटे का तेरे को बैटरी बैकअप मिलता है. तो मैकबुक एयर इज बेसिकली एज पावरफुल एज योर प्रीवियस जनरेशन मैकबुक प्रो. मैं उसको बोलूंगा एंड देन आई वांट टू लाइक आई वांट हिम टू रियली लाइक नो ऑल दीस थिंग्स. तो मैं क्या करूंगा कि उसका एक लाइक लिंक होगा या फिर वीडियो होगा या कुछ होगा. तो लाइक you tell someone कि जैसे कि तू ऑफिस में and ऑफिस में you see like actually this happened for me with Vikrant कि मैं हम लोग मेटा की थी Slack पे कुछ तो कमेंट किया. And he was like कि hey actually if you commented with this link it will have more chance for people around you to open it and look into the issue like and dive deep into it. So I realized कि हाँ like this you make it easy. Like if you want something you basically make it easy for the person to.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's something. And another thing was recently that I started was for the last law, the law to make it satisfying. So that was something that I struggled with a lot. कि मेरे को समझ नहीं आता था कि मैं कैसे how do I use this law. So what I did was कि when I started running right 2 weeks ago and stuff. So what I did was कि I created an account on Strava. That's something that I used.
अबे अपन स्ट्रावा पे एक दूसरे को फॉलो कर लेते हैं.
हाँ यार, गुड आइडिया. I don't have long runs, but हाँ, that would be nice. करते हैं. Okay.
Okay, cool. So I think like it's 50 minutes or something. Okay. So we are done mostly about the book.
Yeah.
And we'll like to talk briefly about why we're doing this and what is our motivation toward it. Find satisfying and all.
Yeah. Nishant,
you
you
go
want
first.
to start? Okay, you want me? I think the idea for me was something that struck me after listening to a John Green podcast in which he talks about like the importance of building community around yourself, around the things that you enjoy. So I thought ki I enjoy reading books, and the issue was ki I want to discover more people who share the same the same joy that I have when I read books, and I wanted someone to discuss with. Yeah. Nishant is dancing on the screen. And I thought ki Nishant is like really cool dude, and I would like to know because both of us interact on Goodreads somehow कि किसी book के review पे कुछ. I thought कि it would be fun to have like a discussion. I thought कि if we can have a community कि we do it like monthly and people join in or something, then it helps. But for me personally, the book, I get a chance to reflect on it कि क्या मेरे को सीखने को मिला, क्या core ideas थे and stuff, and it gives me a motivation in a way कि मेरे को बैठ के अब इस पे रिफ्लेक्ट करना है, एक इसका डॉक्यूमेंट बनाना है and just write it down for
कोई भी लाइक अगर कोई भी नए बंदे कोई भी मिलेनियल या फिर हम लोग जनरेशन की से पूछोगे एक पॉडकास्ट millions of people listen to it and there are like people इसके लिए ही टारगेट करते हैं, ठीक है. But then I thought कि अच्छा भाई basically like the investments we did is कि I gave like we both gave this 1 hour.
Yeah.
And apart from it like we gave preparing. It's almost like we keep it like we gave 3 hours, which is basically 180 minutes of preparation and all. Yeah. And if this 180 minutes of preparation is going to give a productivity boost of minutes to any person who like goes to it on anything. In their life, we provide him 10 minutes worth of productivity. Then we just need to target 80. We just need to target कि हाँ यार ये 18 लोग बस हम लोग का बात सुन ले, and then आज हम लोग का जो investment है it's that like हम लोग को उसका return मिल गया.
Right.
So we are basically looking for 18 people to subscribe to our channels.
Mm-hmm.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, it's totally fine. I think that's a good point. Yeah, you put some math into it, which is nice. I was thinking more in abstract terms, but chill. Yeah, it's been fun, man. It's been fun, and let's try to keep it this way, I would say. And with that, I think I'll try to post a feedback form in the chat if I can. I don't know how this thing work. Should I just copy paste the link of the chat and it would work? Yeah, I guess Nishant on the screen as well. And yeah, it would be more fun in a way. But yeah, I guess hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, just have something to think about and do pick up this book if you are interested, because yeah, it's been good. Nishan, do you have any closing thoughts? Any plugins or something?
Thank you.
Thanks, Nishan. Thanks for your time. And have a good rest of Sunday. I think it's.
And हम लोग इसको हिमांशु इसका कह रहा है कि we'll have Spotify पे भी डालो.
Yeah, definitely.
और हिमांशु में तो हम लोग इसको Spotify पे डाल देंगे. उस दिन में like जोर होगा, jealous हो सकता है, लेकिन ठीक है, हिमांशु को मार लेगा.
Joe Rogan, nice. We are coming for him. It's another example of compounding interest, right? Maybe in 10 years, you never know. You never know.
You never know.
Let me just in the stream.